In 1752, 20-year-old George started his army career working for the British Army. Now, this seems kind of weird, but it's just because America was still a British colony at the time. I mean, this was a perfectly normal career path, and George was doing it. So one thing George is famous for is being one of the best military strategists, which is kind of funny because he really did not start out on the right foot, right? I'm gonna tell you. So by this point, tensions are running high between the British, who are in control of America, and the French, who are trickling down into America from Canada. So France, low-key, was like, we want Ohio. They want Ohio, which is now you're like, okay, take it. Just kidding. But England already was like, hey, it's ours. No. And meanwhile, the native people who had been living there for hundreds of years are just like, hey, everyone, let's just be cool here and respect the land. Huh? But basically everyone was on edge and everyone was going after Ohio and just waiting for someone to make the move first, to maybe even make a mistake, right? Everyone is on edge. So then this rumor gets out that the French army was camping down next to the Ohio River. I don't know how rumors spread out there, but it's spread. And young George, he gets swept up in all this drama when his commanding officer sends him to scout out the situation. His officer's like, hey, go out and check to see if the French are really out there, squatting on our land. Yeah, so he gets there. And not only does he look around and see all these French, tents and soldiers, but he starts to, panic because he realizes, he is seriously outnumbered. And if anybody caught him, most likely it would be the end for him. But instead of having a conversation or maybe going up to the people and explaining what he's doing, he goes from 0 to 100, just full on John Wick on the French troops and just starts shooting his gun everywhere. Just at anything. He's just shooting. In result, he ended up shooting and killing 10 French soldiers and, whoops, a French diplomat. So the French, naturally, accused George of being a British assassin, sent to kill them. And the British were like, dude, we gave you one job, man, and you really fucked it up. So nobody was happy with him. Nobody. But this spark of violence was exactly what both sides were waiting for to get the okay for an official battle. George's little oops was as good as a declaration of war, and it actually kicked off a 7-year war between the French and the British and the indigenous people who lived on the land before either of those idiots showed up and stole it. Yeah, his little mistake just set off a 7-year war. Bitch, you gonna pay for that? But here's something inspiring despite this massive fuck up. George goes on to redeem himself. I mean, think about it. When you learn about George Washington in school, did anyone tell you he started a war by a jump scare in the woods? No. So George put his past behind him and would actually go on to be considered one of the best military strategists of all time. In between starting wars and sleeping in tents, which apparently, George loved tents. He was all about it. George falls in love with one woman, but gets engaged to a completely different woman.